Here's the complete story with all character names replaced as per the recommendations. My husband Brian Shaw had an office affair. I reported him on the spot. That afternoon, Brian was demoted, fined and forced to make a public self-criticism before the board of directors, cementing his status as a company celebrity in the corporate archives. I looked at his confession letter. Brian Shaw, you really are an unlucky bastard. Your career is in shambles. Your reputation is ruined. And the evidence of your marital infidelity is firmly in my grasp. Was there anyone more unlucky than Brian Shaw? I caught my husband Brian Shaw kissing his secretary in the office, and I immediately reported him. Cheating. Man isn't even fit for a dog's company. That very night I directed movers to pack his luggage and toss it out, changing the locks on the door for good measure. Then there was his secretary. She used to rely on Brian's favor to throw shade at me. Now that Brian could barely save himself, why would I tolerate her? I called the HR manager. Resignation or termination? Let her choose. Resignation meant leaving with dignity. Termination meant leaving with a stain on her record. Even an idiot would know the choice. So, she was unceremonious lie kicked out. She screamed over the phone, Vivian Vance. I've never met a woman as vicious as you. I want a divorce. Divorce. Oh, I'm so scared. I whimpered into the phone. You better mean it. Whoever backs out is a dog. We met at a law firm. Litigation? Fighting over assets? We were childhood sweethearts turned business partners, with such a vast fortune to untangle. We needed lawyers. Brian Shaw glared at me with fire in his eyes. He built his empire from scratch. Everyone, from employees to the board, who relied on his profits, treated him with deference. Yesterday's public humiliation had stripped him bare. He looked down his nose at me literally. I helpfully pointed out, your nose hair is showing. Brian froze, flushing crimson with rage. Vivian Vance. I blinked innocently. Can't he? I even tell the truth after the divorce? Besides, if you didn't hold your nose so high, how would I see it? Brian's chest heaved as he struggled to contain his fury, snapping at his lawyer. Get on with it. I don't want this woman bearing my wife's name for a second longer. Brian's lawyer opened his mouth, but I cut him off. I want 70% of the assets. No stocks, no funds, no cars, none of your company shares, only cash. If the cash isn't enough, property will do. Before the lawyer could speak, Brian sneered, Vivian, have you lost your mind? His voice dripped with contempt. Look at what you did, reporting me to the board, and you have the gall to ask for 70%? Why wouldn't I? He asked sincerely. What I reported to the board was your affair. Brian's face flushed scarlet. His lawyer quickly interjected, Miss Vance, what evidence do you have of my client's infidelity? Don't tell me you secretly filmed it. Videos taken without consent are inadmissible. If it leaks, I will sue you on his behalf. Brian regained some composure, glaring icily. Hear that, Vivian? Learn the law. I looked more serious than both of them. Brian, lawyer, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I would end secret life film anyone. If it was film ed, it was by surveillance cameras. Agavi Brian A. Meaning full once over. A public conference room? Brian Shaw, your choice of venue? TS. Brian's face, which had just paled, flushed crimson again. His lawyer grabbed his arm. Who says I don't have evidence? I retorted immediately. Of course I do. I pulled 2 crumpled sheets of paper from my bag and placed them on the coffee table. Would the board's official reprimand report count as valid evidence? Instantly, both Brian and his lawyer turned ashen. I maintained my earnest, inquisitive expression radiating sincerity. Brian stared coldly. Vivian, now you know? Learn the law. I continued. Brian Shaw getting hot and heavy, with his secretary in a conference room, just kissing? Unlikely. If it wasn't more, would the board have agreed to just a public reprimand? That room had expensive equipment with 24/7 surveillance. People forget, especially when passion takes over. Who remembers the unblinking machines? I took the recording straight to the board. Internal discipline or ego? Public internal surveillance can't leak. There are 1,000 ways. For a celebrity like Brian, I wouldn't even need to lift a finger. Tabloids would dig up dirt, embellish and thorough. The company is in a critical pre-IPO phase. Would the board risk a scandal? They had to make Brian confess. Shouldn't I get a copy of the confession? If they didn't send it, I demanded it. Brian was hyperventilating, his eyes murderous. Was I scared? I reported his cheating ass. Why keep him for the new year? Brian and his lawyer, could they erase his disgusting actions? With that report, his marital fault was ironclad. They returned. The lawyer spoke. Miss Vance, Mr. Shaw, considering your decade-long marriage, I was stunned. Is this a flea market? Haggling over pennies? I stood up. Forget it. Let the court decide. Lawyer draft the lawsuit. My lawyer finally had something to do. Eagerly opening his laptop. Stop, Brian roared. Roar at me? After years of marriage. I knew him. His pride was everything. The esteemed Brian Shaw. Sued by his wife for adultery. That would be worse than death. Fine. 70-30. 70% to you. I wagged a finger. No, no, no. Are you bargaining? Are you cheap? Such naivety. I frowned. Disagree? Fine, let the judge decide. Lawyer. Is the lawsuit ready? Tweak it now. Seeing me poised to bolt for court, Brian hissed through clenched teeth. No court. Your terms. 80-20. No stocks. No funds. No cars. None of my company shares. Only cash and property. Do it now. Brian looked like his veins would burst, but he nodded. Deal. I couldn't resist jabbing. See how easy that was. Saw the split and looked up, eyes blazing. Vivian Vance. You planned this. His lawyer's laptop was open. Careless. I chuckled nervously. Just anticipated your pettiness. Saved paper. I'm an eco-conscious citizen. With a signed agreement. I thought he was filthy. Mutual disgust. A month later. Such good fortune demanded festivities. Lion dances, street dance, flash mobs. Purification rituals. Arranged. An eclectic lively mix. Healthy. Vibrant young models in workout gear. Running clothes, yoga wear. Instantly electrifying the atmosphere. Vivian Vance. You dared dodge. The roar belonged to Margaret Shaw, Brian's mother. Andy, here to work out? I greeted warmly, adding sincere advice. Margaret turned pale, jabbing a finger at me. Vivian Vance. Shameless woman. My Brian supported you for 8 years. And you took so much money. How dare you? Why wouldn't I? I left him 20%. How kind. I inquired sincerely. Auntie, are you afraid Brian might face karma? Margaret clearly didn't grasp the idiom. I'll kill you. Security. I yelled. This was a fitness store, full of tall muscular guys. 2 instantly blocked her path, flexing impressive pecs and biceps. Knowing she couldn't reach me, Margaret channeled her fury, kicking over the cartoon mascot statue by my door. Amidst tearing sounds, she plopped onto the ground, whiling and slapping the floor. My fate is so bitter, marrying such a shameless daughter-in-law, supporting her for 8 years. No benefit to my son, wasting his money. A woman not serving her husband, shamelessly flaunting herself, using my son's money to keep a toy boy. No justice. This was gold. Tabloid material. I dialed my phone. Hello, Tabloid Weekly? Got a hot scoop. Margaret Shaw, mother of tech mogul Brian Shaw, is causing a scene at New Era Plaza. Explosive content. Hurry. Addresses. Mid-call I addressed Margaret cheerfully. The internet loves sharing. Andy, keep going. Reporters are almost here. 5 minutes tops. Vivian Vance. You wretched girl. You'll get yours. Margaret scrambled up, cursing me, and fled like greased lightning. On was the unsteady gait. It shook my head. Such a miraculous illness. Comes and goes. Unsteady one moment, sprinting the next. She barely left when the event ended, and crowds surged into the store. Eleanor Chen, there to support me, gave a thumbs up. Miss Vance, perfect timing. Did in third business. It directed clean, up while being modest. Just okay. She praised again. That move was brilliant. The old lady learned her lesson. I denied it seriously. I respect elders. How could I teach her a lesson? Unless she breaks the law. Gotta uphold the law. I dialed 110. Hello? Police? I want to report a crime. At the station. Brian Shaw and I sat across from 2 officers. Talk it out first, an officer suggested. Brian suppressed his rage. Vivian, how could you? My mother is old. I looked puzzled. Her age matters? Does age excuse vandalism? Brian snapped. She's my mother. Exactly. That's why you're paying. Brian seemed dumber since the divorce. Brian was incredulous. She just accidentally bumped your cheap glass statue. Did you need the police? Wrong. Crystal statue. I corrected sternly. Natural crystal. A single piece. Rare. It turned to the officers. I can provide store surveillance. She deliberately kicked it. Crystal clear, right? The officer nodded, informing Brian. Margaret Shaw intentionally destroyed property. The footage is clear. That's why you right here. Brian didn't argue with the police, turning his fury on me. A keep glass statue? How much? I'll pay. Not glass crystal. I corrected again, stating the loss. Not much. 20 million. Brian's eyes bulged. Vivian, robbery? A ton of crystal isn't worth that. It's a single piece. I explained seriously. Master craftsmanship, one of a kind. Worth it. I slid an invoice copy onto the table. Art has no fixed price. A few brush strokes. Fetched astronomical sums recently. Brian crumpled the invoice, hissing, Vivian, you're insane. Putting 20 million by the door? I stared, baffled. Where a bit my things needs your approval? Are you Margaret Shaw's elder? It was only meant for one day. For publicity, surrounded by a stepped barrier. Who told her to show off her kicks? Self-inflicted. An officer reminded Brian, Mr. Shaw, 20 million is a huge sum, constituting felony destruction of property. As the perpetrator misunderstood the value. Malice isn't severe. Plus, your prior relationship prompted this meeting. If you agree on compensation, we can mediate. He handed Brian the relevant legal codes, advising kindly, think carefully. Your mother was wrong. Compensation is fair, and at her age, prison? Brian's face was livid, glaring at me. I didn't save that kind of money. I believed him. 80% was mine, but why should I care? I stood and bowed to the officers. Please handle the rest. Felony destruction is a public case. Prosecution is up to the state. I turned to leave. Wait, Brian growled. Panting, he spat out. Money, I'll pay. Process the settlement. I turned, no mercy. Money first, or no deal. He wasn't family anymore. Brian's face burned with hat red. He stared for a solid 10 seconds before stomping out to make calls. Half an hour later, 20 million hit my account. A swift lie. Processed the criminal settlement. Officers released Margaret Shaw from temporary holding. Hours inside aged her 10 years. She rushed to Brian, wailing theatrically. Brian looked pained. As a former relative, I offered comfort. Auntie, at your age, such temper. Can't do this again. Impulse is the devil. My comfort only made her wail louder. Hopeless old woman. With 20 million. I vacationed. That hideous statue. Buyer beware. Huge and obscenely expensive. I'd regretted the impulse buy ever since seeing Brian's office antics. Could Ed find a buyer? Selling it back to Brian at cost thrilled me. Perfect closure for impulse buys. Returning, another familiar face appeared. Seeing Robert Shaw, Brian's father, shocked me. No one was more hypocritical. When Brian started his business, he praised my capability. After Brian succeeded, he said I was shameless for working for Atimi. The old couple preached, men outside, woman inside, and Brian comes home tired to no hot meal. I was an executive too. Brian worked all day. I worked all day. I hired a live-in chef for 6-course meals. Were they blind? Seeing Brian torn and exhausted between me and his parents, I relented. I quit the company, kept my shares, but stepped down as an executive. Not wanting to be idle, I partnered to open a boutique. Opening day featured a fashion show with tall, handsome male models. At the climax, Margaret Shaw stormed the stage shrieking, shameless hussy, flirting with men, claiming my partner was no good, leading me astray. I'll never forget my partner's expression. Shock, anger, confusion, pity. I withdrew the next day. Margaret Shaw gloated, thinking I'd returned to domesticity. Every time it read working, she sabotaged it, until I gave up and joined the ladies who lunch circuit. Only then did she relent, crowing, that's a woman's place. Robert Shaw, a housewife could end to master. Mind this, he pulled the strings. Once I became a housewife, he never looked me in the eye again, acting superior, as if he'd never praised my brains and capability. This old man deigning to visit me? Unthinkable. Old man here to work out? I greeted with feigned warmth. Old man? Robert froze, speechless. He taught in a village school, ruler in hand, barely literate, but obsessed with image. Spouting platitudes about culture, people humored him for Brian's sake, calling him teacher or sir. I used to call him dad. Divorced. He probably expected Mr. Shaw. Old man shattered his cultivated image. Sure, at your age, old man shows respect. I kindly advised. Old man, working out might be too late. Save your money. Try square dancing. My repeated old man made Robert livid. He despised square dancers. Suggesting it, he glared, took deep breaths, and forced out his demand. Vivian, a woman has no use for company shares. Give yours to Brian. Robert Shaw had higher cunning than Margaret. Furious, but mission-focused, he always ordered me around. Who did he think he was? What a coincidence. I agreed readily. Old man, you read my mind. I planned to sell. How it happened differed. Robert, missing the nuance, was pleased, his anger lessening. He nodded, paternalistic, sensible. I'll have Brian contact you. He left, hands clasped behind his back. I immediately messaged the major shareholders. Shares for sale. First come, first serve. Brian heard and rushed over, furious. Vivian, what is this? I was all innocence. Selling shares. What else? Dad told you to transfer them to me tomorrow. For free. Contacting others? My shares were significant. Original stock affecting. Company control pre-IPO. I stared, shocked. Did your brain short circuit? Sell shares means sell. To Brian? Free? I sympathized. Brian broke, malnourished, causing brain atrophy, dreaming of free original stock. See a doctor? I'll pay for old time's sake. Brian's temple throbbed, glaring, trying to gauge my sincerity. Within 20 minutes, seeing 3 shareholders call me, he cracked. I can buy those shares. Of course. Brian was a shareholder. I beamed. Should he said so. Let's negotiate. Pre-IPO original shares are gold. Offers poured in. Shareholders, investors, speculators. Bidding drove the price up. Nice lie. Brian, you want them? Pay more. It was TDOS. Highest bidder wins. When Brian, red-eyed, named my price, I smiled, agreeing. Brian built the company. Angel rounds. A B to IPO. He would end to abandon his life's work. He'd day pay anything. As usual, payment first, then contract. I didn't care where he got the money, handing me the check. He gripped the other end. Vivian, after all these years, was this necessary? I frowned, baffled. Normal business. You pay. I sell shares. What's necessary? My dad came to you. Brian fumed as if it were an honor. Oh, I remembered. Tell your family ghouls to stay away. You know I'm timid and impulsive. Scare me, and I act unpredictably. Like these shares. I snatched the check, waving it. Cost you extra. Heartbreaking? Learn your lesson. Keep them away. I patted his stiff shoulder and left. Ha! Did they think I was a pushover? A worthless old man ordering me? I tolerated him for Brian. Now, he was nothing. He wanted the shares. I gave then. Surely it pleased him. Turning back, I kindly added, Brian, give my regards to your father. Tell him his efforts secured your shares. Leaving, I called my lawyer. Find Bryant's money source. My lawyer was brilliant. Within 30 minutes, Miss Vance, Mr. Shaw sold a property. He paid for it, but it was registered under Miss Candy Monroe, so it was included in the divorce settlement. Got it. I hung up. Brian always had bolt holes. I knew he hid assets. This time, he was like Lie Drain. My original shares cost millions, the price of a downtown penthouse. But then I lamented. My shares were worth less than a giant glass blob. Where's the justice? Art. Thank goodness Margaret bought it back. I almost wanted to buy another, trading Margaret's rage for property, knowing she might learn caution. I resisted. Should they've warned her impulses. The devil. Impulse was an angel, blinging with cash. With the shares sold, my ties to Brian Shaw and his company were severed. My fitness store stabilized. I had free time for Eleanor Chen tea, meals, gossip. Not just her, but other CEOs' wives. Margaret Shaw confined me to this circle. Unable to earn, I could spend. I organized them into a charity foundation, the Glamour Circle. Beautiful and virtuous, perfect. We ran events, aiding students, supporting underdeveloped regions. Disasters prompted generous donations. Good PR. Tax deductions for spouses' companies. Brian and his peers loved it and managed it. Divorced, I kept the connections. Monthly meetings were small tea parties at Eleanor Chen's club. More gossip than business. Newcomers seeking entry attended the post meeting lunch. Eleanor and I, discussing private matters, arrived late. Entering the restaurant, I saw the newcomers huddled. One asked, Candy, is it true you and Mr. Shaw moved to a rental? The name and tone were familiar. It turned. Sure enough, Brian's sex secretary Candy Monroe. Honestly, her face was forgettable. Her body in the video, unmissable. A blur of pale flesh. Now, she seemed fabric intensive. Candy Monroe mid-boast. Saw me, she lifted her chin. Voice shrill. Things. An old house? Temporary hardship. Brian is capable. Once the company IPOs, he'll earn it back. Brian's company was prominent. Its IPO was known. Sycophants piled on. Candy, you're so good standing by Mr. Shaw. He's lucky to have you. Candy and her clique stared, pointed. Lie at me. People need conscience. I'd never abandon Brian at his lowest. Unlike some supported for years, divorcing and scraping every last penny. The target was obvious. Some stepped back. Others joined in eyeing me. With Brian, my foundation leadership. C-Med Natural. Divorced. Though wealthy, I was now an outsider. Deemed unworthy. I smiled, ignoring them, trying to lead Eleanor away. She resisted. Bullshit. Eleanor Chen roared, hurling her crystal glass at Candy's feet. It shattered. Crystal meant expensive to me now. Candy shrieked. Eleanor pointed. Your sold property? A grad with millions for a villa? Who paid? Shameless. Never seen such gall. Proud homewrecker. Does Brian know you just Admitted he had marital assets? Each sentence cut deeper. Candy paled, focused on vilifying me as parasitic leech. She'd forgotten the crucial detail. Eleanor summoned her manager, pointing at Candy and her supporters. Print their photos. Ban them from this club. Now, get these leftovers out. Eleanor and her husband were powerful figures. Her word was law. Candy and her crew panicked, torn between pleading and pride. Hesitation cost them. The manager escorted them out. Eleanor fumed, can't stand their type. Coincidentally, those expel-led were mistresses or home wreckers. Birds of a feather. I linked arms with Eleanor, laughing. Sis, you're my ultimate spokesperson. Eleanor laughed, urging the others to enjoy themselves. I drank sparingly. Post-party, I called my lawyer. Submit those materials to the board. Eleanor was my voice, but revenge is personal. A week later, Brian called. Vivian, was it you? I was luxuriating in a bubble bath. That thing? The major supplier owned by your mistress? Yes, me. Proudly. Well done, right? Brian's company needed suppliers. He loved Candy Monroe. 2 years ago, as an intern, he helped her mother set up a shell company to dodge risk, giving it the juiciest contracts. Candy's family had no business background. They subcontracted everything but charged Brian inflated prices. Brian approved the budgets, turning a blind eye. He misled the board, calling it market rate. Profits and dividends were good, so the board ignored it. Brian paying $20 million so fast raised my suspicion. After the police station, I had my lawyer dig, found the rot. Previously manageable, Brian's recent cash crunch made him greedier. His skimming now hurt profits. Normally, a warning might suffice, but pre-IPO, a critical vulnerability, the board forced him to disgorge recent gains. Brian panted into the phone, enraged. Vivian, I treated you well. Why? Well, everything I had, I fought for. Weakness meant destitution. I feigned hurt Brian. I told you, I'm me, timid and impulsive. Scare me. I act rashly. Your fault. Didn't control your ghouls. Vivian. He roared. I'm scared. I sipped my expensive wine. Seconds later, Brian cooled down. Coldly, he said, Vivian, don't regret this. Brian soon explained. New Horizon Tech SIPO prospectus launch was grand, the final step before listing. As a former insider, I attended the celebratory gala. Shareholders beamed, highlighting my short-sightedness. Had I not fought Brian or sold impulsive lie, my wealth would multiply soon. Brian approached triumphant, nose high. Vivian, regrets? Pathetic. He'd rehearsed this. Taller, nose higher. I had to look up. So, I reminded him, your nose hair is showing. Silence, then deafening laughter. Brian turned puce. Vivian Vance. He bellowed. He craved glory. Now, only his nose hair would be remembered. He hissed, Vivian, how vulgar you've become. I looked innocent. Mr. Shaw, is nose hair vulgar? It's fact. You held your nose high. How else would I see? Brian realized I would and discuss anything else. Stormed off. The air cleared. Before I could breathe, a sickly sweet voice grated. Miss Vance, thank you for giving up such a wonderful man like Brian. A heavily made up woman, unrecognizable even to her mother, stood before me. Fox modest. Since you didn't cherish Brian, I'll enjoy the blessings meant for you. I racked my brain. And you are? Her face froze, cycling through expressions. Finally, furious humiliation. Vivian, pretending not to know me, I'm Candy Monroe. Brian Shaw is mine. Candy Monroe? I pointed. You, the streaky pork in the video. Candy preened at recognition, then froze. Ever polite, I apologized. Sorry. The video just showed pale flesh wobbling. Hard to recall faces. Wear less next time. Who knew you'd dress modestly? The lingering crowd erupted. Again, streaky pork. Someone yelled. Candy Monroe shrieked, covered her face, and fled. Rude. I was apologizing. Post-gala, nose hair and streaky pork were the talk of the town. The IPO prospectus? Forgotten. Company's IPO daily. Such delicious gossip is rare. Time passed. Brian's IPO was pending. His wedding to Candy Monroe was imminent. He flaunted this affair turned true love. I ignored him. He insisted on provoking me. The Glamour Circle annual charity gala invited industry figures. Brian arrived with Candy. He bid extravagant lie for a diamond necklace, placing it around her neck before the crowd. For my beloved, all eyes found me. Everyone knew my history with Brian, how I helped build his empire. This was a public slap. Eleanor Chen seethed. Vivian, how can you stand this? Stand? I'm not even mad. It checked Brian's bid, sold him cubic zirconia for $2 million. Why be mad? Eleanor gasped. Cubic zirconia, that necklace? I nodded. My people bid against him. Had tactics planned for pages. Eleanor looked incredulous. Won the sue for fraud? I got serious. Eleanor, it's a charity auction. No refunds. Set that precedent, ruin future charity? He backs out, I'll sue him into oblivion. Eleanor laughed until tears streamed, begging me to rub her stomach. Can stop laughing. Serves him right. Trash deserves fakes. Eleanor knew I win. Others? Pie-tied me. Ignored them. Brian lingered, sending candy out. He blocked my path, thinking himself dashing. Vivian, regrets? I'll marry Candy. Give her a grand wedding. Lavish love. Everything I denied you. Vivian, do you regret it? I studied him carefully. Should I call a doctor? Brian snapped. Vivian, stop deflecting. I dialed the hospital. Hello, hospital? My ex-husband seems mentally unstable. We are divorced, and his pet comes reciting poetry. Brian fled. Post-gala the next day, a revolutionary product exploded onto the market, targeting the same applications as Brian's company, but vastly superior in performance and convenience. Crucially, it cost only 2/3 of Brian's price. These advantages let it seize half the market almost instantly. Momentum was unstoppable. Brian's company blindsided. Scramble. Their initial response? Price cuts. But the competitor, armed with market data, iterated rapidly, lowering costs and cut prices again below Brian's production cost. Brian Scuts cheapened his brand. Raising prices became impossible without new products, but focused solely on the IPO for years. R&D lagged. No new products. A dying giant. Brian still had loyal customers, but the decline was undeniable. Shareholders and backers wavered. The IPO date was postponed. Some sought exits. Collapse was swift. In this state, Brian called. We met at a small cafe. Brian looked aged. Former privilege masked it. Stress revealed decay. Was it you? He rasped. I nodded. The competitor was my investment. Brian leaned forward, low and intense. Vivian, you want to destroy me? I tapped the table. Quiet. Brian covered his face. Voice ragged. Vivian, enough. I wronged you. Take it out on me. Let the IPO happen, please. I sipped coffee. Brian, you flatter yourself. He looked up. Vivian, stop pretending. This is revenge. I studied him, suddenly weary. I once loved his ambition, his relentless drive. When did he become this stagnant, defeated man? Remember when mobile POS systems emerged? He asked, come lie. CEOs swear they dominate. Then QR codes arrive. Know what a dimensional reduction strike is? This is it. We ray not even in the same dimension. You appear, you die. I stirred my coffee. Know why? Dimensional strikes happen. Someone explores higher dimensions. 3 aren't enough. 4, 5, 6, 10. Others stagnate into dimensions. Brian, you know I'm not a homebody. Ikravi. Exploration. While I reached beyond my horizons, you stopped. Your ability, vision, mindset stopped matching mine. Yet, I stayed. I lived you. I hop-ed giving you space would reignite your spark. You disappointed me. That woman? My tone was flat. I barely recall her name. Candy? Monroe? Just wobbling flesh. You are irrelevant. Not worth my attention. Emit you hoping for something. To hear what the boy lived, full of wonder, might say now. My voice thickened slightly. Again you disappointed me. I met his eyes. Using my analogy, my investment is the QR code, the future. Your company is the POS system, obsolete, past doomed. Brian, I didn't exert force. IPO or not, your company was doomed. I merely nudged. You didn't have to nudge. Brian rasped. Why not? I smiled. Didn't I warn you? Keep your ghouls away. You failed. Worse, you came yourself. I leaned in. The gala? You shamed me. I could shame you back. But why? A paused, pointed lie. Brian could end finish. He lost face. I took everything, possibly his future. I smiled again. Revenge must escalate. Otherwise, is it revenge? Brian's eyes widened. Then he shriveled like dead grass. He knew me. It never started fights, but crossed me. Retaliation was swift, brutal and absolute. Nothing left to say. I stood, left cash on the counter, and walked away without looking back at the broken man. I'd heard rumors beforehand. Shareholders demanding accountability. Candy's mother's shell company collapsed. Candy demanded money, threatening divorce. Brian, helpless, fell ill. Robert Shaw broke bones delivering Brian food. Heard much. None concerned me. Brian choked his parents' shock. The mistress? Petty drama? Just collateral. Loving Brian, I managed it. He no longer loved the stagnant man who only knew how to lift his chin, exposing ridiculous nose hair. My phone rang. A young voice. Miss Vance, heard you started a new company. Need security? I smiled. Yes. Quit New Horizon? Report to me, or be my assistant. The New Horizon security chief was Eleanor Chen's relative. Impulsive youth. Fought for a friend. Got air accord. Eleanor Shussband barred him from their companies. Eleanor asked me to place him at New Horizon as security, urging him to study. He excelled, self-studying, rising to chief. Brian and Candy's affairs? He spotted them on surveillance and alerted me, securing the footage. His doing. I act with sincerity, kindness, and integrity, planting good seeds without demanding harvest. Even Brian, I never harassed, and indeed, goodness repaid the universe balanced. Hanging up, the phone rang again. Eleanor Chen. Her laughter boomed. Viv, you made me a fortune. My husband is green with envy over this project's profit. I smiled. Such a big project. Burning cash. Can't he shoulder it alone? Thankfully, I have the glamour circle. Friends who trust my judgment after years of managing well. Who said, women together can take Eve? Your vision, Eleanor. I countered. My vision saw you. Eleanor Shoy was palpable. Future projects? Your call, my money. She cheered. Celebration dinner. You're coming. Yes. I agreed, stepping forward. Ahead, sunlight streamed down like scattered gold, draping me in splendor. I myself was luminous.